So in this video, we're going to be going over email newsletter mastery. This is exactly how I built a newsletter to over 5,000 readers while maintaining a 20% open rate. And the reason the open rate is so important is because people will say, oh, I have a 30% open rate, a 40% open rate, but they have an email newsletter size of fewer than 1,000 people. When you have a newsletter so small, you're not really able to get a true gauge on how effective your emails are at capturing people's attention because you just have such a small newsletter. So the fact that I was able to build a newsletter to over 5,000 people while keeping it at this open rate goes to show that I probably know what I'm talking about. Now, in this video, we're going to be going over two parts. We're going to be going over building your actual email list, getting people to join. And the second part is over killer copywriting, which is how do I get people to open my emails? How do I get them to read my emails? How do I keep their attention? And most importantly, how do I get them to actually take action, whether that is to watch a video, whether that is to motivate them, or whether that is to get them to buy? That's what we'll cover in the second half of this video. Now, the first thing I really want to touch on is why email. Why is email so important? And for everyone watching this, for most of you guys at least, you already have a following on social media. You already have a YouTube channel, Instagram page, LinkedIn following, doesn't matter. You already have people who are listening to what you're saying. But the thing is, on any of these sites, if the website decides to shut you down tomorrow, you have no recourse, right? If you are using Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube as your primary channel for communicating with your customer base or communicating with people who are already interested, then in a single day, these platforms can shut down your account and everything is gone. Think of it like keeping all of your belongings in your house, but every day you go out, you don't lock your door. You might be in a good neighborhood, but if there's just that 1% chance that someone breaks in and steals all your stuff, you're screwed. This is why smart entrepreneurs are doing something different. They're building audiences that they own. They're moving people off of these social media platforms into one place, an email newsletter, right? Take Tim Ferriss. We all know him for the 4-Hour Work Week, but he isn't just a best-selling author. He's a master at owning his distribution. He has a newsletter called the 5 Bullet Friday, and it's one of the most read newsletters in the world. He uses it to promote his books, partnerships, affiliate deals, whatever he wants. And it works because it's a direct and personal way of communicating with his audience, where he's not at the mercy of algorithms. Or take Sahil Bloom. He built up a massive following on X, formerly Twitter, and then he moved this audience to email, where he now has over 800,000 subscribers on the Curiosity Chronicle. This list lets him drive real revenue through sponsorships, info product, and new launches. And he talks openly about why he prioritizes email, because it's the only audience that you truly own. And it's not just these big names. I know a guy who runs a B2B consulting firm. Most of his clients were warmed up over email, but he has fewer than 2,000 subscribers. Despite this, he still pulls in over $40K per month from high-ticket retainers, without running ads, without chasing likes, just direct communication to the people who are already interested in what he has to offer. So let's get into it. Phase 1 is building your list. The first step is to pick your email software. So think of this like the digital printing press. It's the place where you're going to write your email and where it's going to be distributed to the people who are subscribed to you. I would recommend using Beehive for a few main reasons. It has a nice UI, which makes it easy to write content. When it's easy to write emails, you're going to write more emails, which gives you a feedback loop. I wrote an email, I got a good response, I'm going to write more. It makes that whole process smoother. The second reason is that it's free for your first 2,500 subscribers. So for most of you guys watching this, that's going to take a while for you guys to hit. So it's effectively free when you're getting started. And if you decide you want to switch to a different platform, you can always export your emails and take it to a different provider. Once you set up your account on Beehive, you need a list of people to email. And when you're just getting started, the easiest way to get that first 100, 200 subscribers is to export people who have already bought from you. Not only will this help you get that initial boost of motivation, but the people who've already bought from you will be some of the easiest money that you can make. If somebody's already spent money with you, the chances that they will spend money with you again are incredibly high. So when you start your newsletter by writing to these people, you're already a step ahead of everyone else. You already have a list of people who not only are interested in what you have to offer, but have already bought money from you. They've already shown that they're willing to spend money with you. Not just some random freeloader. You are getting a positive feedback from the kind of people who are going to give you money. That is the kind of feedback that you want. Now, tip number 3 for building up your newsletter is get on LinkedIn. Most people on the platform don't post, which means that it's effectively a blue ocean. It's effectively a place where you as an entrepreneur coming into this, you can clean up. It's also a business platform, which means that there are people who want to be up to date on the information in their industry. So you can position your newsletter as helping them get the latest and greatest information that they wouldn't find anywhere else. So you add a bit of FOMO, you add a bit of urgency, and you'll get people onto your list. In terms of where to put this email, I would say put it in your bio, put it in your featured section, and then put it in the comments underneath each post. Don't put it in the post itself, because LinkedIn will not prioritize content that links to an external website. So anytime that you make a post on LinkedIn, you can put the link to your newsletter in the comment section. If you do that, you'll be fine. Now, the next step is to capture emails with a Typeform application. So anyone who wants to become a client of yours, instead of just booking a time on Calendly form, add a step beforehand to collect their email address and then filter them to see if they have the money and the criteria to work with you. This also has the added benefit that you can downsell people. So if somebody comes to, let's say, my offered LinkedIn Launchpad and they can't afford it, or they're not in a stage in their business where it really makes sense to grow on LinkedIn, then I can downsell them to my software. But they probably wouldn't have even applied if they didn't see a catchy headline like this for the main package. And even if they don't buy immediately, I still have their email, so I can market to them later. Step number 5, have multiple lead magnets. So I do this within my funnel. I have LinkedIn Vault, which is the funnel that you see on screen. This is basically a collection of resources that I made to help people grow on LinkedIn and monetize their audience. My AI or setting scripts. But there's another unconventional way that I get people into my funnel, which is through software. This is something Neil Patel has talked about. He has a software, Ubersuggest, which helps people find keywords for ranking on Google. And he's talked about how this tool itself is a lead magnet for him. And it's one of the most effective lead magnets for him. He talks about how code is more valuable than content. So if you can build a tool that people actually use, and there's tons of no-code solutions out there, but if you can build a tool that people actually use, they will happily give you their email for that at a higher rate than they would for a top 5 tips ebook, which is why I built a Chrome extension called Welcome Feed, which helps people automatically send messages to new followers and new connection requests that they get. So it literally means that all the traction they're generating, I'm helping them convert that into money. And it's free forever. And it upsells into my software, Leads Autopilot. Because once people are accepting these messages, they need to get more followers and more connections to keep the momentum up. So they want to purchase my tool to grow on LinkedIn. And that process is a lot easier because I already have their email. Think of it like you were just fishing in one river, and then instead of that, you're now setting up multiple nets in multiple rivers to catch way more fish. That's the idea behind having multiple lead magnets in different forms. Another trick of the trade is to ask people for their email in the DMs. So if someone DMs you a word or comments a word for a lead magnet, rather than sending them to a landing page over the messages, you can just ask them for their email. And so there's tools like ManyChat for Instagram, and I'm building something similar for LinkedIn. But these tools will allow you to automatically reply to people and send lead magnets. And so you can customize it to ask for somebody's email address. And this essentially reduces the friction that people have before signing up to your newsletter. So instead of clicking this, typing in their email, checking their inbox to confirm, instead of doing all that, they just send you their email. And that's it. And so what I recommend doing is batching 50 to 100 emails at a time. So if you have this massive thing that you're posting on social media, ask people for their emails, collect them all in a big batch, and then import them onto Beehive in one collection. One of the scripts I implement is this. I use Welcome Feed, the extension I just talked about, to send a message to everyone who has followed me. And I say, hey, I've put together this free resource. Do you want me to send it to you? A simple yes or no would be great. When somebody says yes, I ask them for their email. I have a few thousand connection requests on LinkedIn. So anytime I do this, I will pull in hundreds of new email subscribers completely automatically. So don't underestimate this step. Now, we're going to go to step 2, which is killer copywriting. How do you actually write content that gets people to read and to take action? The first tip I would give for anyone writing their first email on Beehive is don't copy it from Google Docs or from Notion. Write your emails on the platform itself. Beehive has built-in formatting that shows you exactly how an email will look before it lands in somebody's inbox. Now, this will also reduce the friction to make content, because when you're editing it on Beehive, it makes it far easier to write content. If you have to do some elaborate workflow where you're on Google Docs, and then you go to Grammarly, and then you paste it here, and then you have to check, that's too much. You won't want to write emails if you do that. If you understand that emails will make you money, make it as easy as possible to write good emails so you make it as easy as possible to make money. Now, the next tip I would give for anybody watching this to write better emails is to train your ability to speak. Because when you speak clearly, this requires you to think clearly. If you can't explain your ideas out loud, you certainly won't be able to write them down. And so think of it like lifting weights at the gym, but you're doing it for your brain. When you just start off trying to speak clearly, it's going to be a bit difficult. It's going to be hard to organize your thoughts in such a manner that you can articulate them clearly. That's why you do it, because every single rep that you perform makes it easier to do that. When you were 13 or 14 and you went into the gym the first time, could you bench 100 kilos? Probably not. But I'm sure over time, you guys watching this, over time, as you've put on more weight, now you're able to hit that. Now you're able to do 100 kilos for 10 reps. But you were able to get there because you put in reps over time. You practiced it. You went home with your chest feeling a bit sore, but you knew that you'd wake up tomorrow and it'd be stronger. And it is the exact same concept when it comes to articulating your thoughts. My next tip is write in 6th grade language, because simple writing gets read. My next tip is write in 6th grade language, because simple writing gets read. If you've ever been reading a book and then all of a sudden your eyes start glazing over the words and you're reading the words but you're not actually understanding what they mean, this happens because as you were reading the book, you came across a word that you didn't fully understand. And rather than going back and trying to address that word, figuring out what it actually means, looking it up, you kept reading and you figured you probably know what it means. But as you continue reading, you missed a crucial piece of information which caused you to completely get derailed. When you try to impress your reader by using big words, you increase the chances that they're going to miss it. You increase the chances that they're going to come across a word, not fully understand it, but continue reading, and none of the words that you say after that will actually impact them and actually compel them to take action. This is why, if you want people to understand your message and take action, speak to them in simple language. Take Donald Trump, for example. He is notorious for speaking in 3rd grade language. But the reason he was able to build such a committed and such a dedicated movement is because that language appeals to people. That language is easy for people to understand. They don't have to expend a lot of energy thinking about what these words mean. His message can go straight into people's minds. And every single person watching this can do the exact same thing. Your goal is to implant your thoughts into somebody else's mind. Your goal is not to impress people and try to look smart. Tip number 10, start with one word. This reduces the friction for somebody to read your emails. When you start with one word, that is something anybody can read. If you start your emails with a long, elaborate sentence with complex syntax and a high reading level of vocabulary, people are not going to want to read that. It's too complicated. It uses too much energy. At this point, they don't really want to read it. When you start with one word, people basically read that on autopilot. And if you choose the right one, you can capture their attention and keep them reading the rest of the email. Now, obviously, don't overdo this. Don't start every single email with one word, but it's a trick that you can use. Or you can start with a question. This also reels people in because you capture their attention and you get them thinking about something. They might even close the email and then still be lingering on that question. And the only way that they're going to be able to solve that problem is by opening your email back up again. And this idea of open loops is used on social media all the time. You've probably been on Instagram, you see a reel, and then you scroll past it. But something about it, some sort of hook, whatever it may be, makes you want to scroll down or scroll up back to the reel you just saw. You add a question that catches people's interest and makes them want to know the answer, then you can elicit that same feeling over email. Tip number 12, practice different hooks. When you're at the gym, you practice your jab, you practice your cross. Don't forget your hooks. The more hooks that you practice, if you practice them correctly, the better you'll get at using them. Tip number 13, tell people to reply. If it's the first email they get, tell them to reply to this message saying, hey, I got it, it landed in my inbox. You do this for 2 reasons. From a technical perspective, it increases the deliverability of your emails, which means that your emails are more likely to end up in your recipient's inbox. The second reason is that it turns you from just somebody who's sending out a message to a 2-way communication. This person feels like they can reply and take action. Tip number 14, tell people to forward your newsletter. This is essentially guerrilla marketing. Every single person that receives your email, they have the opportunity to, with one click, share your newsletter with somebody else. And for most calls to action, you have to tell people directly what you want them to do. So at the end of your email, you can say, hey, if you found this valuable, share it with a friend. Click forward and share it with a friend. And people want to do this because when you recommend something to someone, you also recommend your reputation. If I tell you about a book and you read it and it changes your life, you'll attribute, at least to some extent, that book changing your life to me. You'll say, hey, Eric recommended this book to me. It was amazing. I'm super grateful that he recommended it to me. And so you can look at this from the other side of the field and you can say, I want my newsletter to be so valuable that people will want to share it so that other people think they're smart. And then also in the footer, make sure to include a link for people to sign up, which means that, and then also in the footer, make sure to include a link so that whenever someone gets the email forwarded to them, they can sign up to get future emails from you. Tip number 15, don't sell something in every single email. Obviously, the purpose of the newsletter is to sell over time. That doesn't mean that every single time that you speak with them, that you are pitching something. If you do this, you will get people to unsubscribe. And you don't need to hide behind the fact that you're running the newsletter to make money, as long as people are getting value and they don't feel like they're just getting advertised to. So within my newsletter, I rotate between 3 types of content. I talk about motivational content, educational content, and then offer-based. Where offer-based is, hey, I'm opening up new spots in my program, or hey, we're running this discount. But I switch between these 3 types so that it doesn't come across as I'm selling you in every single message. Tip number 16, come up with ideas yourself. If you're going to use AI, use it for formatting only. The thing is, AI is good at polishing, it's good at writing words in a nice and clever way, but it sucks at coming up with original thoughts. So for anyone watching this, for any content, whether that's emails or social media content, your brain must be the one doing the thinking. You have to come up with the thoughts yourself, because nobody can replicate your own experiences and the way that you've interacted with the world. And AI just has its training data. It will just regurgitate what it has seen online, which is good for writing with correct grammar and correct spelling and correct punctuation, which is what you should use AI for. But it's not good at coming up with things that are true based on your experience. And AI can't make this video because it doesn't know what it took for me specifically to get to where I am. And for you watching this at home, that's the advantage that you have by coming up with ideas yourself. Now, number 17, use your best performing content from other social media platforms. If a LinkedIn post or a tweet pops off, repurpose that into an email. It is the exact same idea as finding a winning creative. If you have an ad creative that is working and it is giving you a ROAS, you want to turn that ad spend up. You want to use it as much as possible until it breaks and it doesn't make you any more money. It is the exact same idea with organic content. Now, real talk for everyone watching this, the majority of people who've signed up for my newsletter came from my LinkedIn, where I have over 25,000 subscribers. All the tips in this video are true and they are valuable, but if you really want to add fuel to the fire, I will give you a step-by-step guide on building your LinkedIn and using it to build your newsletter and get paying customers. I'll share exactly how to do this inside of my LinkedIn Masterclass. It's on YouTube. You can watch it completely for free. You don't need to enter your email, and you can click somewhere on screen to watch it. It's 30 minutes of pure value, and if you can't watch through the entire thing, that already tells me everything I need to know. So make sure to watch that video, and I'll see you on the other side.